is a great way, like if your hips are feeling tight, Disa, maybe before bed, this would be a great way to just let the hips relax a little bit. Well, it's good for all of us, good for our nervous system as well as obviously a nice hip opener. Now, when you go into child's pose, bring your knees nice and wide. If your toes can reach and meet each other, that's great. If not, don't stress about it. We'll go ahead and press back onto our heels, and you can choose whatever version of child's pose you want today. So just beginning, I've got my arms extended out long. However, you can rest your hands at your sides. So for some, I had a phone call from a client yesterday and said, I was doing child's pose and I was wondering, does my sits bones have to touch my heels? No, they do not. However, if they don't touch your heels, if you have a little space between your heels and your sits bones, it may be more comfortable on your back to place a block between kind of your feet and rest your sits bones on your yoga block. Because if your hips are lifted, you're going to automatically go into your low back just because that's just the way our bodies are kind of designed a little bit to kind of counteract the balance in between the front and the back of the body. So if you do feel like your hips are lifted and doesn't feel good, go ahead and place a block there. And we're going to begin just by allowing ourselves to center our attention on our breath and focusing on the back of our body. As you take a few nice long breaths into the nose, down the spine, begin to notice if you can expand your rib cage. And we're just going to invite a few nice breaths in just to bring our attention to our body. Maybe you're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Just try to see if there's anything you could do to make yourself a little more comfortable here. So if your body is unconsciously holding on to tension into the muscular structure, maybe you're holding on to some thoughts. That's okay. That's absolutely fine. But just see if you can quiet your body down. Notice if there's any areas, so maybe for you, Disa, today you're going to focus on releasing your hips. So take that breath in and just see if you can draw that breath into the hips and see if you can soften the back of the body, just allowing the hips to just gently come back down towards the ground. And not really necessarily really towards the ground, but just this idea of allowing gravity to drop your body and let it feel heavy here. Beautiful. And let's just take a moment to set our intention. Maybe our intention is to relax our body. Maybe our intention is to quiet the mind. Maybe we're just intending on being present here in our practice. Bringing awareness to just being here, allowing what we have to do or what we've done already for the day to be kind of in the background. I'm just going to let that hang around. It'll come back to us later, but right now we just want to let those things kind of drift off into the background, not make it our forefront of our attention. And then as you're ready, we're going to take one more big inhale and try to see if you can soften your body even further. Maybe even notice if your shoulders are still holding on to a little bit of tension. And then from here, we're going to gently make our way up into all fours position. And bring our knees in towards center and starting with just that nice long back. And from here, let's do a few cat-cows just to kind of give some flexion and extension of the back. So Inhale, open up your heart. And exhale, draw the navel in. And let's just bring some awareness to the low back, kind of reaching up. And exhale, pressing the spine up towards the sky. Just going to do a few rounds. Wonderful. And slowly make our way back into our neutral space. Now from here, we're going to shift our hands forward, shift our body forward, and we're going to bring our knees slightly back. And as you shift your weight forward, bringing your shoulders, that your shoulders are almost directly underneath your wrists, and you're into this kind of finding a kneeling plank position. And from here, just want you to gently, really gently, let your pelvis come down a little bit. And that's just going to open up the hip flexors and just allow the sternum to lift. So it's almost like you're coming into an upward facing dog, but really subtle, really, really subtle. And then press back and bring your hips towards your heels. Give that back a nice little counter stretch. And let's repeat that 2 more times. So breathing in as you shift your weight forward. Exhale, lift the heart, open up the heart, finding a little back bend here. But today we're focusing on releasing the hips. And then come back. Use your pressure of your hands into the floor to push you back onto your heels. And then one last one. Shift your weight forward. Exhale, roll the shoulder blades back, open up the heart, let the hips fall, maybe a little bit more if you've got some room. And you want to think about lifting through that heart space. And then press back onto your heels. Wonderful. And then from here, let's go ahead and shift our weight back into all fours. And we're going to be layering our poses today. So first begin by coming into a kneeling lunge. And I think both of you were in my workshop on Sunday. So of course, this is a real fundamental hip flexor opener. So we'll just begin here by gently allowing gravity to bring us down towards the earth. And as I mentioned in the workshop, and as I've said before, we don't want to go in too aggressively with this. We want to be gentle with our bodies. So breathe into the space and just allow your body to kind of release into this pose. And if you want to, we can go into a little psoas opening, a little psoas stretch by reaching your arm above and gently coming into some lateral flexion. You can feel perhaps this opening. We know that the psoas attaches at the T12 all the way down to our femur. So it's like this opening all through the side of the body. And then come right back in through center and rest both hands on either side of your left foot. This time we're going to curl our right toes under, lift up, coming into a kneeling, a low lunge here. And then inhale, coming all the way up, finding ourselves in crescent. Now, as we come into crescent, I want you to drop that right heel down to the ground. Not necessarily to the ground, but kind of find that length as you energize through the heel. That's going to open up this hip flexor a little more. Reaching with the arms above our head. And we're just going to gently bring both of our arms over to the left without shifting our pelvis. So a little balance here. And then come right back in through center. Take a breath here, and then exhale, bring both hands down towards the floor, framing that left foot. Drop your right knee down, bring your left foot back. Press back into child's pose. Take 3-4 breaths here. And I want you here just to allow for the hip to release. So just try to find some softening through the breath. Wonderful. And then on your next inhale, we'll come back into all fours. Let's just do a few cat-cows one more time. So inhale, open up the heart. Exhale, draw the navel in round the spine. And inhale. Finding your own rhythm here. Good, and one last set. Wonderful. Come right back into your all fours, and we're gonna go right back into those upward facing dogs. So with your hands outstretched, a little further away from your body, you're gonna come into that kneeling plank here. Inhale, and as you exhale, just slowly let your hips drop down towards the ground. Again, we're not going too forcefully. You may have a little more room. And then inhale, press back onto your heels. We've got two more like that. And your emphasis here, inhale, shift your weight forward. Exhale, opening up the hip, is to kind of lift through that sternum so you've got some good space between the vertebrae, allowing the hips to release. And then press back. It's quite a lot of work on the wrists as well, so if you need a break, lift your wrists and give them a little twirl. And then one last one. Inhale, shift your weight forward. Exhale, drop the hips. Open up the heart. And come right back into all fours this time. And this time we're going to bring our right foot forward, opening up the left hip. So I like to kind of open up my back leg, kind of reaching back. So I've got a little bit more pressure, less on the patella, more on the quadriceps. If you've got knee issues, you might want to put some padding underneath there. Hands can rest at your knee. And again, as I spoke about in the workshop, if you have blocks, that's a wonderful tool to use. So just make sure here that we're reaching and leaning forward here, gently allowing our body just to melt here. So we also want to think of everything we do. We're stretching the hip flexors, but we also want to make sure we're taking care of that oppositional muscle structure. And in this case would be the glutes and the hamstrings. So it's kind of, they all work together. So it might be a little bit tight on the hip flexors, but we also want to make sure that our glutes are getting a nice good stretch too, which we're going to use with the band shortly. Wonderful. Now from here, go ahead and frame your front foot. No, sorry, don't do that. Come sit up. I forgot to do our psoas stretch. Reach up with that left arm, and this time just lean over into that lateral flexion. This can feel a little overwhelming sometimes, so just be careful. I know for myself, I just felt my breath kind of be taken away a little bit. Just take a nice big breath in. And then go ahead and bring your hands down. And this time, frame that front foot, curling the left toes under, lifting the knee, and then coming into crescent pose. So allowing that right knee to balance itself directly above the ankle. And that left leg is pressing back into the heels. You're really energizing here through that back body. And then with both arms outstretched, if it feels good, anchor into your feet and then gently tilt over to the right. Maintain that lift. So you've got to imagine you've got a plumb line right at the top of the crown, lifting you up and create as much space in the vertebrae as you can. And then come right back in through center, and this time swim both hands either side of your right foot. Drop down onto your left knee, and we're going to go into pigeon from here. We'll do the other side next. So toe heel your right foot over towards the left side, and bring that right foot kind of, right knee is kind of almost in alignment with your shoulder, And you can take that left foot back. Now, if this does not feel good, if you're like, Sharon, this is a no-go for me, go onto your back and do a figure four. So bring your right ankle over your left knee and then bring that left thigh in towards your heart. So we can go into sleeping pigeon here, or you can stay lifted with your hands just on the floor. What you want to be careful for is that both your hips are neutral, so you're not resting down. That's going to put your low back kind of out of alignment. And just allow the body weight here to just calm itself down, kind of gravitate towards the earth, keeping your back nice and long. And I really encourage you to take that left leg and reach it down towards the base of your mat. And I want us to take a good 10 breaths here. And with each exhale, just find a little more release. This is one of those poses that when we get into it, it's quite intense. It's a big stretch in through the hip, but also a big stretch through the glute. I mean, I feel it through the glute. You might feel it in different areas. Try to keep your shoulders soft. Wonderful. With as much care as possible, take your hands, place them on the floor, and slowly raise yourself up. We're going to curl our left toes under, lift our knee off the ground. So first really establish that grounding, then go ahead and press into it and come into downward dog. We're going to pedal our feet one at a time here. Weighting our body into our thumb and our pointed finger. Try to find a little softness through the wrist here. Open up through the chest and let your heart drip down with the shoulders reaching away from the ears. Just check in with yourself here. How are you feeling? Do you need a break? Do you want to go into child's pose? Just kind of evaluate what feels right for you right now. And then when you're ready, if you're in downward dog and you're not in child's pose yet, let's meet in child's pose and give our hip a little break here for a moment, and we'll do pigeon on the other side. So I'm like right now, I can feel my right hip feels very different to my left. And just bring some awareness. Maybe you'll notice one side feels a little different than the other. Wonderful. And let's go ahead and shift our weight forward, finding our all fours. And we're going to take our left foot and bring it in front. And this time we're going to toe heel the left over towards the right side of the mat and come into pigeon on the other side. And try to find that length with the right leg. So extend that leg, lift the knee up, extend it as far as you can. Your knee should feel comfortable here. If it doesn't, then I really encourage you to go onto your back and do your figure four stretch instead. You should not feel any discomfort in the knee here. And then go ahead and find whatever version of pigeon you want. Now, I often will use a block underneath my elbows. I've got them right in front of me, but I'm not going to reach for them just quite yet. But if you want to raise the floor, if that feels a bit better on your back, that is always, I'll just do it greater. I'm worried my candle is going to pop over, but it's not. And this is a great way actually to keep your back in alignment. So if your back is feeling a little funky, this would be a nice way to just keep everything kind of neutral. Especially if pigeon is one of those poses that can feel a little intense. This kind of gives you a little bit of room. You can always place a block underneath that lifted hip. That's another way as well, just to kind of work your way into pigeon pose. Soften through the shoulders. Try to invite that sense of quiet in the body. So much can go through our mind when we're in a pose like this, because we're trying to just melt our body in. Our mind starts to wander into different places. Try to refocus back on the breath. Wonderful. And then when you're ready, let's slowly bring ourselves up, and we're going to press up onto our left hip. So shift your weight over onto your left, and we're going to take that extended leg out and cross it over our right if that's available. If it's not, you can place it right in front of your shin muscle of the left leg. So crossing it over your left and maybe taking that left leg underneath as we come into cow face here. So if this feels, this is about as far as my body's going to go. It's not going to go any further. I have seen people who have like a knot, and I'm like, well, that's great. That's not my body. I don't know if it ever will be. If this feels too intense, this feels quite intense on my body, especially right where my IT band and my glutes feel. Then go ahead and bring your foot right in front and open up, and simply just allow your body to lift up tall. So if it does feel comfortable, it might feel intense, but as long as it feels comfortable and not painful, go ahead and interlace your fingers and press them right on front of your right, kind of below the knee. And I want you to find a little lift in through the spine. Let's take a couple of breaths here. And what you're looking to do is just steepen your body down into the mat, trying to connect your sits bones. So my right sits bone is just about touching the ground. It wants to lift because it's a little tight. And try to soften your shoulders. Wonderful. And then we're going to go ahead and release both legs, and we'll bring them long and just shake them out. That's quite an intense, cow face is quite an intense pose. Wonderful. And then we're going to do the other side. So go ahead and bring that right foot underneath your left, and then maybe curl that left leg over the right. Again, if you want to, you could place that left foot right in front of you, sit up tall. And like we did in Pigeon, you want to just allow your body to settle in. Kind of allow that pull of the earth down. Like you want to spread your sit bones out onto the earth. Wonderful. And then go ahead and unwind your legs, extending both, coming right into that staff pose. And wiggle your legs out just to kind of loosen up here. Now, if you're not sitting propped up on a pillow, you can go ahead and prop yourself up. We talked about that a lot on Sunday. If that's ever possible, make sure you do that when you're practicing, even if I don't say it. So legs are going to be extended out long, and let's go ahead and come into our Dandasana, our forward fold. Reaching with your arms away from your pelvis, as if you're trying to pull your upper body away from your lower body, and just gently come into a forward fold. There can be a slight rounding of the spine. You want to try to keep your pelvis as neutral as possible, so you're not pressing back to the low back. I'm just kind of melting here into this position, softening the throat and the shoulders. then slowly walk your hands right back in through center and keep your legs extended out long, and then widen the legs, finding your seated straddle split. So legs are nice and active here. And then we're going to go into a forward fold here. So here you can walk your hands out in front of you. You can rest your forearms if you want to on a block. You're going to stay here for about 5 breaths. And this is just going to allow our inner thighs to stretch out a little bit. You can also get a little low back lengthening as well. You're looking for a little more, you can always extend your arms out. You're going to get the shoulders and the back. Again, we're going to take about 5 breaths here, and I want you to just try to allow your body to soften. And if it feels okay, you can slide your hands a little bit over towards the left. Here, you're going to get that opening through the back side of the ribs on the right side, keeping that right glute down. And then slide your hands back through center and over to the left. And then come back in through center. Now take one more big breath in and exhale, and see if you can melt in a little further without forcing it. Just seeing what works for your body. See if you've got a little bit more room there. And then slowly restack your spine, coming back in through center. Legs are going to come in, and we're going to go into Baddha Konasana, into our butterfly pose. And again, of course, we want to shift our weight over a little bit so that we move the flesh over so we can connect into our ischium, into our sit bones. You can stay lifted. Again, if your hips are tight, this may be just enough. You don't need to go any further. If you want to come into a forward fold, you can. Square off the shoulders and just allow your body to melt forward. Wonderful. And we'll slowly make our way all the way up into a seated position. Now we're going to come onto our backs. We're going to grab our strap to do a little bit of our hamstrings, as well as a little bit more of our inner thighs. I'm just going to shift my mat over so I don't touch the wall. And we're going to take our strap, lying down on our back. We'll bring our strap underneath both of our feet. So both of you do a lot of walking. So this is a wonderful stretch for our hamstrings. I know you guys have all done this stretch probably a gazillion times. So whenever you're, going for a long walk, we want to think about the hips, but we also want to think of the hamstrings and the glutes. So this is a great way to stretch the whole back chain of the legs, the glutes. Legs up the wall is a wonderful restorative pose, but also a nice way to stretch the inner thighs as well as the back of the legs. So if you're lying with your sacrum on the floor, your tailbone kind of down on the base of the floor, and your legs kind of resting on top on the wall, you can go ahead and do that and open up your legs. And I'm not saying do that now, but maybe that's another stretch you can do on your own time. Let's go ahead and release our right leg, and you can bring your right knee into a bent position, or you can extend. That's going to give you a little added opening of the hip. However, if you've got low back issues, this is not going to feel great. So you choose what works best for you with your knee bent to feel a little bit more supportive on the back. We're going to grab our strap and we're going to place it in our right hand and trying to keep your leg as kind of connected into your hip. Go ahead and roll over to the right side, taking that left arm and outstretching it to kind of offer you some counter support here. Now, similar to what we just did in Pigeon, try to let yourself melt into this pose. So if you have sacroiliac joint issues, and you know if you've got it, and I say that because it's quite discomfort, can cause quite a bit of discomfort, you want to be careful here because you don't want to create any compression here. So you want to just be mindful that when you're rotating, if you rotate too much, it can feel very compressive in that sacroiliac area. Wonderful. And then when you're ready, guide that left leg up towards the sky. Switch your grip into your left hand, and we're going to open up towards the left, giving that inner thigh a little stretch, keeping that right hip down towards the ground. Cheating a little bit, touching the wall, but you get the gist of it. I'm not going to go down, even if I can't touch. I'm going to go down really not towards the ground, because once I go too far, it feels very compressive in my hip, in the back of my hip, but also it also causes my right hip to start to lift. And I want to be able to stay nice and connected and not rotate my lumbar area. Wonderful. Now let's go ahead and bring that leg up. We're going to take the right foot, place it into the strap, and extend the left leg or bend in through the left knee. And we'll go ahead and do our inner thigh stretch here by placing the strap into your right hand and just opening up to the right side. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly make our way up and we'll go into our rotation. So crossing our right leg right past our midline, opening up with that right arm and just taking that right leg over. So with a lot of walking, our IT band might be a little tight. This is a wonderful way just to get that IT band a little bit looser. Also gives the gluteus maximus, maybe even a little bit of the piriformis a little stretch here too, as it runs laterally across the glute. Wonderful. And then let's go back and come back into the center and release our foot from the strap and bring both feet into a bent position with their feet about as wide as the mat. Maybe your feet come right off the mat, and go ahead and drop your right knee in towards center. Maybe keeping that left knee bent. And then bring that right foot up and let the left leg drop in. And keeping perhaps the right leg. If you want to open up the right hip, that's absolutely fine. And then make your way back in through center. Great job. Let's go ahead and toe heel our feet back in towards, so that they're nicely lined with the hip. Extend the right leg long and bring that left knee in towards your chest. Drawing the knee in towards your heart. And then bring your right knee in towards your chest. Both knees in towards your heart. And maybe rock your body side to side. And then slowly making your way back into center. This time we'll extend the left leg out to the left corner of the mat. Keep the right knee in towards your chest. And just take a releasing breath. And then go ahead and release that right leg and extend it out long. And open up your palms, or maybe place one hand on your hand and one hand on your tummy as we make our way into our Shavasana. And as you allow yourself to rest here, allow your mind to be free of any things that are on your to-do list. Take this as your gift to yourself to completely allow your body to rejuvenate and rest. And before we begin to reawaken our body, get yourself ready for the world. Start to deepen our breath. And you are welcome to rest here a little longer as your body needs. Feel free to decide what works best for you. If you want, you could start wiggling your fingers and wiggling your toes. Bring a little bit of movement to the outer extremity, waking up the body. And if you want, you can roll onto one of your favorite sides. I'm going to take about 3 breaths here. And then as you're ready, slowly make your way up into Sukhasana. Again, you can stay in that position a little longer if your body and your time allows. And let's meet back up in Sukhasana with our hands at heart center. And as we bow down to our hands, let us remind ourselves of our intention that we set for ourselves at the beginning of our practice. Let us close our practice off with a nice rejuvenating breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Breathing in, maybe you sweep your arms up overhead. And exhale. May your heart always stay warm, and may your smile always stay broad. And may the light that shines in me honor the light that shines in you. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone, for joining me today. So much time together. But I hope to see you again in other classes. Have a wonderful remainder of your week. And if you do get a chance to go out and enjoy this glorious sun, let it just soak all up into your body and fill your heart. Such an uplift in our spirits to see the sun out again. So have a wonderful day, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. That was perfect, Sharon.
No,
Did you record it? Like, is there an opportunity to have that specifically?
Yep, I can send it to you. As long as you're okay with me sending it to you unedited, I'll upload it to YouTube after it converts, and I'll send it to you later on today.
Okay, thank you so much.
Also, Disa, I sent you the link to the full presentation, which included the asana practice on our Sunday workshop. So that would be a good one for you to consider as well.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Do you want to say hi? You want to say hi to Sharon? There you go.
Hold on. Hello, Bosco. Did Rob tell you we're getting another dog tomorrow?
Yes, I heard. That's exciting.
And crazy all at the same time. I have no idea. Like we've talked about it, but we've been hesitant because of Bailey. But on the weekend, we had her best friend over, and she just wants to play. Like she just wants to play, and her best friend isn't a player. Like she just sleeps all day. So I saw these Cavapoos on Facebook that was put by Emily Piniagatu. Emily Kirschbaum. And I was like, oh my God, they are like the cutest dogs, and I've wanted one for years now. And I said, oh, aren't they cute? I wish we could get one. And Brian's like, okay, let's do it. I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. So going to get her tomorrow.
Wow.
And but I booked in Rob's trainer, so I'm hoping we'll get some support with the trainer to integrate these two dogs together. So
yeah, I really I've been trying to. I belong to I follow on Facebook the Michigan Doodle Rescue.
Yep.
And I was really hoping to rescue an older dog.
Okay.
Because he really does need somebody to play with. He actually desperately needs grooming right now, but they all want you to have fenced in backyards, and just that my neighbors would hate me because we all kind of made a pact in the beginning that we would leave our backyards one big, huge open area, especially for the kids to play in.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten one yet, but I would really they just found a doodle that they think has been living out, doodles are expensive, but they think living outside for a long time. Based on the way it, was looking and behaving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we would love to rescue one. And in hindsight, if I could have done it a year ago, it would have been really great, but I'm still interested.
Yeah, it'll come. Something will come around it. Brian and I are very, I don't want to say impulsive, but when we make a decision, often things end up working out very quickly for us. Once you've made that kind of goal, and same thing with our house that we bought in Bel Air, within 2 weeks, we were like, all right, we've sold our other house, we bought this other house, and it's just the way things work out. So once you've made that commitment, something's gonna come around, I'm sure. And now that you've said it out loud, I'll be keeping an eye out as well. So
Yeah. If you hear of any doodles that need rescuing, keep us in mind.
I will definitely do that. All right. Well, I'll show you Kip when we get her. She's gonna be
Okay.
she arrives tomorrow, but I don't think we could do an adult dog. That I don't think Bailey would have gone for. So she's a 12-pounder, so it's a small one. So
Oh, that'll be fun. Good
it
luck.
will be. Thank you, and I'll see you hopefully soon. And I'll send you that video sometime today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Bye, you too.
Bye.